Amara stood in front of the small mirror in her bedroom and took a deep breath. She looked at herself one more time. Her dress was simple but clean, and she had done her best to make it look nice. She had bought it 3 years ago, and it was still her best dress for special events. Today was very important. Her cousin Mensa was having a big dinner party in Accra to celebrate his new job as a bank manager. The whole family was invited and Amara did not want to miss it. She walked to the small room where her son Kwame was getting ready. He was 7 years old and he stood in front of the mirror looking at his white shirt. His shirt was a little too big for him, but it was the nicest one he had. Amara had ironed it very carefully that morning. She helped him tuck it into his trousers and smiled at him. Kwame smiled back, but his smile was small and quiet. He was always like this. He did not talk much and he did not make many friends at school. But Amara loved her son more than anything in the world. "Come, Kwame. We must go now," Amara said, taking his hand. "Your cousins will be there. Maybe you can play with them." Kwame nodded and held his mother's hand. They left their small 2-room apartment and walked to the main road where they caught a taxi to the restaurant. As they drove through the busy streets of Accra, Amara's heart felt both happy and nervous. She had not seen her big family in many months. Her family was very rich and very successful. Her brother was a doctor, her sister worked for a big company, and her uncle had many businesses. Amara worked as a cleaner in a hotel and earned very little money. But she loved her job because she could support her son. When they arrived at the restaurant, Amara felt small. The place was very big and very beautiful. There were crystal lights on the ceiling and expensive chairs around long tables. She could see her family already seated at the main table. They were dressed in beautiful clothes and wore gold chains and bracelets. Some of them were already laughing and talking loudly. "Ah, here comes Amara," her Aunt Amma said when she saw them. Her voice was not warm. It had a laugh in it that made Amara feel uncomfortable. "Welcome, welcome," said Uncle Kofi, but he did not stand up to greet her. He only looked at her from his chair and then looked at Kwame. "Is this the boy? He looks so small." Amara felt her face become hot. She led Kwame to the table and helped him into a chair next to her cousin Esai. "Mama, your son is so quiet," cousin Esai said loudly. She was looking at Kwame like he was something strange. "My children are never this quiet. They are always talking and making jokes. They are in the best private school in Accra, you know. My son just won first place in a speaking competition at his school." Kwame looked down at his plate and said nothing. Amara reached over and held his hand under the table. The dinner started. The waiters brought many kinds of food. There was rice, meat, fish, vegetables, and many other things. Amara had never seen so much food before. She put some food on Kwame's plate and some on her own. She wanted to enjoy this moment with her family, but the words kept coming. "Your son eats very little, Amara," Aunt Amma said, looking at Kwame's plate. "My grandchildren eat much more. They need to eat well to be strong and smart." "He is a shy boy, not like my children," Uncle Kofi added. He was eating his fish loudly and did not even look at Kwame. "My grandson just finished first in his class exams. Top of the whole school. What about your boy?" Cousin Esai laughed. "Probably not doing so well in school. Look at how he sits there like a mouse. He has no confidence." Each word was like a small knife cutting into Amara's heart. She could feel Kwame getting smaller and smaller in his chair. His small hands held his fork very tightly. His eyes looked down at his plate the whole time. "Kwame is a good boy," Amara said quietly. "He works hard in school." "But is he excellent?" asked Aunt Amma. "Excellence is what matters. Not just good. Excellence. My grandchildren are excellent." The other family members laughed. They continued to talk about their children's achievements. One cousin talked about her daughter getting into a top university. Another uncle talked about his son's job at a big company in America. They talked, and with each story, Amara felt Kwame pull his hand away from hers. He was disappearing into himself. By the time the dessert came, Kwame had barely eaten anything. He was sitting very still and his eyes were looking at nothing. Amara could see that her son was hurt. She could see that he believed what they were saying about him. He believed that he was not good enough, not smart enough, not loud enough, not like the other children. When the dinner finally ended, Amara was happy to leave. She held Kwame's hand and walked out of the restaurant. In the taxi on the way home, she looked at her son. His face was turned away from her, looking out at the dark streets of Accra. She did not see the bright, curious boy she knew at home. She saw a child who had been hurt by the words of people who did not know him. Amara made a promise to herself that night. She promised that she would find a way to show her family who her son really was. She promised that one day they would see Kwame for what he truly was. She did not know how she would do it, but she knew that she had to do something. Because no child should feel small just because their family did not understand them. That night, when they got home to their small apartment, Amara was still feeling very sad. She could not stop thinking about what her family had said to Kwame. She could not stop seeing the hurt in her son's eyes. She changed out of her dress and made some simple food for them to eat. Kwame ate a little bit but not much. After they finished, Amara sat on the small veranda outside their apartment. It was dark, and the lights from the other buildings in the neighborhood made the sky look orange. Kwame came and sat next to his mother on the wooden bench. They sat together in silence for a long time. Amara did not know what to say to her son. She was worried that he was feeling bad about himself because of what his cousins had said. She wanted to tell him that he was wonderful, but she was not sure if he would believe her. "Mama," Kwame said finally, his voice very soft and small. "I am sorry that I am not like the other children." Amara's heart broke into pieces when she heard these words. She pulled her son close to her and held him tight. She kissed the top of his head. "My son, you do not need to be sorry. You are perfect just the way you are," she said. "But they said I was boring," Kwame said. "They said I was not smart like their children. They said I eat too little and I do not talk enough. Maybe they are right, Mama. Maybe I am not good enough." Amara felt angry tears come to her eyes. She held Kwame's face in her hands and looked into his eyes. "Listen to me, Kwame. Those people do not know you. They do not see who you really are. I want to know something from you, my son. I want you to tell me the truth. What do you do after school? Where do you go?" Kwame looked down at his feet. He was quiet for a long time. Then he took a deep breath and began to speak. "Mama, I did not want to tell you because I thought you would be worried. But 3 times a week I go to the community center near our neighborhood. There is a man there named Mr. Mensah. He is not our cousin. He is different. He runs a free school for children who do not have money to go to real school." Amara listened carefully. She did not know this. Kwame had never told her this before. "I go there because I wanted to learn more things," Kwame continued. "But then I saw that there were so many small children there. Some of them were only 4 years old. They did not know how to read. They did not know the alphabet. They did not know numbers. I felt sad for them, Mama. So I started to help them." "You helped them?" Amara asked. "How did you help them?" "I taught them their letters," Kwame said. His voice was becoming less quiet now. It had a little bit of life in it. "I taught them to read simple words. I taught them numbers. Some of them learn very fast, Mama. There is a boy named Otto who is 5 years old. Last month he could not read anything. Now he can read whole sentences. I was so happy when he read to me." Amara felt something changing in her heart. She was beginning to understand that her son was not quiet because he was not good. He was quiet because he was listening. He was quiet because he was thinking about other people. "Kwame, how many children have you taught?" she asked. "I do not know exactly, Mama. Maybe 40 or 50. Maybe more. Some children come for a few weeks and then stop coming. But the ones who stay, they learn so much. Mr. Mensah says I am a very good teacher. He says I am patient and kind." Amara could not believe what she was hearing. This quiet boy, this shy boy that her family had mocked, was a teacher. He was helping children who had nothing. "There is more, Mama," Kwame said. "I also help Mrs. Abina." Mrs. Abina was an old woman who lived in the apartment below them. She was very poor and she lived alone. Amara had seen her a few times in the building. "Mrs. Abina makes soap," Kwame said. "She makes it from natural things. It is very good soap. But she is old and it is hard for her to go to the market and sell it. So I help her. On Saturday and Sunday I go with her to the market. I help her set up her stall. I help her sell the soap to people. And when we make money I give some of it to you because I know money is hard for you to make." Amara could not speak. She could not move. Tears were running down her face, but they were not sad tears anymore. They were tears of pride. They were tears of love for her son. "Kwame, how long have you been doing this?" she asked. "Almost 1 year, Mama. I wanted to help because I saw that people needed help. The children at the center need someone to teach them. Mrs. Abina needs someone to help her. So I decided to help them. I did not think it was a big thing. I just did it." Amara hugged her son very tight. She held him close to her heart. She realized something very important in that moment. Her family was wrong about Kwame. They saw a quiet boy and they thought he was not good. But quiet does not mean not good. Quiet can mean thoughtful. Quiet can mean caring. Quiet can mean strong. "My son," Amara said, still holding him. "You are not boring. You are not bad. You are not like the other children because you are better than the other children. You have a heart that cares about people. You have a mind that thinks about how to help others. You have hands that work to make things better. This is much more important than winning a speaking competition. This is much more important than eating a lot or talking a lot. Kwame looked up at his mother, and for the first time that day he smiled a real smile. It was not a small smile. It was a smile that came from deep inside him. "Thank you, Mama," he said. "I was worried that you would be angry with me for not telling you." "I am not angry," Amara said. "I'm so proud of you. You are the best son in the whole world. Not because you are perfect, but because you try to make the world better. That is what makes you great." That night, Amara sat on the veranda with her son for a long time. She listened as he told her stories about the children he was teaching. She heard about little Otto and how happy he was when he read his first sentence. She heard about the other children and their dreams. She heard about Mrs. Abina and how much she loved Kwame. And Amara realized that her family did not understand what real success was. Real success was not about being loud or being rich. Real success was about being kind and helping others. And her son Kwame was already successful in the most important way. The next morning, Amara woke up with a plan in her mind. She had spent the whole night thinking about what Kwame had told her. She knew that she needed to do something. She needed to show her family who her son really was. But she did not know how to start. She sat at the small table in their kitchen and drank her tea slowly, thinking and thinking. Then she decided. She would collect proof. She would gather letters and documents that showed what Kwame had done. She would show her family that their son was not just good, he was exceptional. He was helping his community. He was making a real difference in people's lives. That afternoon, after she finished her work at the hotel, Amara went to the community center for the first time. She was nervous. She did not know what to expect. When she arrived, she saw many children sitting on the floor. Some were reading. Some were learning numbers. And there was Kwame sitting with a small boy named Otto, pointing at letters in a book and teaching him how to say the words. When Kwame saw his mother, he stood up quickly. He looked surprised and a little worried. But Amara smiled at him to show him that everything was okay. She sat down on a small chair near the back of the room and watched her son work. She watched how patient he was. She watched how he explained things in a way that was easy for the children to understand. She watched how the children loved him and trusted him. After the lesson was over, an older man came over to Amara. He was tall and had a kind face. He introduced himself as Mr. Mensah, the director of the community center. "You must be Kwame's mother," Mr. Mensah said, shaking her hand. "Your son is a wonderful young man. I cannot tell you how much he has helped us here." Amara felt proud. "Mr. Mensah, I came here to ask you something. Would you be able to write a letter about Kwame? A letter that explains what he does here and how he helps the children?" Mr. Mensah smiled. "Of course. I would be very happy to write such a letter. In fact, I have been thinking about writing something for Kwame for a long time. He deserves to be recognized for his work. Come back tomorrow and I will have the letter ready for you." The next day, Amara went back to the center and received a letter from Mr. Mensah. She opened it and read it carefully. The letter said many wonderful things about Kwame. It said that Kwame had been volunteering at the center for almost 1 year. It said that he had taught more than 45 children how to read and write. It said that Kwame was patient, kind, and responsible. It said that because of Kwame's help, many children who had no hope of learning now had hope. The letter was signed by Mr. Mensah, and he even put the official stamp of the community center on it. Amara held the letter to her heart and smiled. This was the beginning. Next, Amara went to visit Mrs. Abina. The old woman lived in the apartment building below them. Amara knocked on her door and Mrs. Abina opened it. She was a small, thin woman with white hair and a very kind smile. "Amara, come in, Mrs. Abina said, holding the door open. "How is my good friend Kwame? That boy is like a grandson to me." "He is well," Amara said. "Mrs. Abina, I came to ask you something. Would you write a letter about Kwame? A letter that explains how he helps you with your soap business." Mrs. Abina's eyes became wet with tears. "Oh, Amara. That boy has saved my life. Before he came to help me, I was so sad. I was old and I thought nobody needed me anymore. But Kwame came and asked if he could help me sell my soap. He gave me new hope. He gave me purpose. Of course I will write a letter for him." Mrs. Abina spent the next hour writing a letter by hand. She wrote about how Kwame came to help her every weekend. She wrote about how he was honest and hardworking. She wrote about how he gave some of his earnings to his mother to help her. She wrote that Kwame was the best young man she knew and she was proud to know him. When Mrs. Abina finished the letter, she handed it to Amara. Amara read it and cried happy tears. She hugged Mrs. Abina tight. Over the next few weeks, Amara also took many photographs. She took pictures of Kwame teaching the children at the community center. She took pictures of him helping Mrs. Abina at the market. She took pictures of him smiling with the children he had taught. She wanted to have proof of all the good work he was doing. Then Amara did something very brave. She decided to contact an organization called the African Youth Foundation. This was a big organization that gave scholarships to young people who showed great character and leadership in their communities. Amara wrote them an email. She told them about her son Kwame. She explained what he did at the community center. She explained how he helped Mrs. Abina. She attached the letters from Mr. Mensah and Mrs. Abina. She attached the photographs. For 2 weeks, Amara heard nothing. She was worried that they would not reply. She was worried that they would think she was asking for too much. But then one day she received an email. Her hands were shaking as she opened it. The African Youth Foundation was very interested in Kwame's story. They wanted to know more. They asked Amara many questions. Amara answered all of them carefully and honestly. She told them everything about her son. She told them about his quiet nature. She told them about his big heart. She told them about the children he had taught and the elderly woman he helped. After 3 more weeks of communication, the African Youth Foundation sent Amara a very important letter. The letter said that Kwame had been selected as one of 50 young community leaders in West Africa. The letter said that because of his dedication to helping others and his strong character, Kwame had been awarded a full scholarship to attend Achimota School, one of the most prestigious secondary schools in Ghana. The letter also said that Kwame would receive support and mentorship from the foundation. Amara read the letter over and over again. She could not believe it was real. Her son, the quiet boy that her family had mocked, had been recognized by a major organization. He had been given a full scholarship to one of the best schools in the country. Amara carefully collected all the documents. She put the letter from Mr. Mensah in a folder. She put the letter from Mrs. Abina in the folder. She put all the photographs in the folder. She put the scholarship letter from the African Youth Foundation in the folder. She put everything into a large, thick envelope made of manila paper. She held the envelope in her hands and felt its weight. It was not heavy, but it felt important. It felt like it held the truth about who her son really was. Amara sat on her bed and held the envelope close to her heart. She thought about her family and their cruel words. She thought about how they did not know Kwame at all. She thought about how this envelope would change everything. She thought about how soon her family would understand that quiet does not mean weak, and that being different does not mean being less. She placed the envelope carefully in a safe place in her room and waited for the right moment to show it to her family. She knew that moment would come soon. And when it did, everything would change. 3 months had passed since Amara collected all the documents in the envelope. During this time, she watched her son grow stronger and more confident. Kwame continued to teach the children at the community center. He continued to help Mrs. Abina at the market. But now he knew that his mother believed in him. He knew that his work was important. And he walked with his head a little higher. One day, Amara received another invitation from her family. This time it was from Uncle Kofi. He was having a big gathering to celebrate his birthday. The invitation said that all the family members should come. Amara read the invitation and smiled. She knew this was her chance. She knew this was the moment to show her family the truth about Kwame. On the day of the celebration, Amara and Kwame dressed carefully. This time, Amara wore her best dress again, the same one she had worn to Cousin Mensah's dinner 3 months ago. But this time she felt different. She did not feel small. She felt strong. She felt ready. When they arrived at Uncle Kofi's big house, the family was already gathered in the large dining room. There were many people there. Aunts and uncles and cousins. They were all dressed beautifully and wearing expensive jewelry. They were talking loudly and laughing about their important jobs and their successful children. "Ah, Amara has come," Aunt Amma said when she saw them. Her voice had that same cold laugh in it. And she brought the quiet boy again. "How are you, Kwame? Still eating so little?" Everyone laughed. Kwame felt his shoulders drop just like they had done 3 months ago. But this time his mother was ready. "Your son is so shy," Cousin Esai said loudly. She was wearing a very expensive dress and gold earrings. "He should learn to speak up more. My children are the opposite. They are so confident and talkative. My daughter just won an award at her school for being the most popular student." More laughter came from the family. They were enjoying making fun of Kwame and his mother. Amara said nothing. She simply reached into her bag and took out the thick manila envelope. She held it in her hands for a moment. Then she stood up and walked to the middle of the room. Everyone stopped talking and looked at her. "I have something to show you all," Amara said. Her voice was calm and clear. "I want to tell you about my son. I want to tell you who Kwame really is." The room became very quiet. Everyone was looking at Amara with surprise. Nobody had ever seen her speak like this before. Amara opened the envelope slowly. She took out the first letter, which was from Mr. Mensah, the director of the community center. "This is a letter from Mr. Mensah," Amara said. "He is the director of the community center in our neighborhood. Listen to what he says about Kwame." Amara began to read the letter out loud. She read how Kwame had been volunteering at the center for almost 1 year. She read how he had taught more than 45 children how to read and write. She read how Kwame was patient, kind, and responsible. She read how Kwame had changed the lives of children who had no hope. As Amara read, she could see her family's faces changing. They were no longer smiling. They were listening carefully. Then Amara took out the second letter, which was from Mrs. Abina. "This letter is from Mrs. Abina," Amara said. "She is an elderly woman who lives in our building. Listen to what she says about my son." Amara read Mrs. Abina's letter. She read how Kwame came every weekend to help her sell her soap. She read how Kwame was honest and hardworking. She read how Kwame gave some of his money to his mother to help her. She read that Mrs. Abina believed Kwame was the best young man she knew. Cousin Iasai's face had turned red. She was looking down at her plate and not saying anything anymore. Then Amara took out the photographs. She showed them to her family. There were pictures of Kwame teaching the children. There were pictures of him smiling with the children he had helped. There were pictures of him working at the market with Mrs. Abina. "My son is not loud like your children," Amara said. "But he is helping his community. He is changing lives. He is showing love and kindness every single day." Finally, Amara took out the most important document. It was the letter from the African Youth Foundation. She held it up for everyone to see. "This is a letter from the African Youth Foundation," Amara said. Her voice was full of pride. "This is a major organization that recognizes young leaders across West Africa. They have selected my son Kwame as one of 50 young community leaders. Because of his dedication and his strong character, they have given him a full scholarship to attend Achimota School, one of the best secondary schools in Ghana." The room was completely silent now. Uncle Kofi was looking at the letter with his mouth open. And Amma was looking away. Cousin Iasai had tears in her eyes, but they were not happy tears. Amara continued speaking. "You all laughed at my son because he is quiet. You said he was boring. You said he was not good enough. But you did not know who he really was. You did not see his heart. You did not see his kindness. You did not see that he was already a leader in his community, helping people who needed help." Amara looked at each member of her family. "My son may not talk as much as your children. He may not eat as much as your children. He may not go to the same expensive schools as your children. But he has something that is much more important. He has character. He has compassion. He has a heart that cares about other people. And for that I am proud of him." Amara took Kwame's hand and helped him stand up. She looked at her son and smiled at him. Kwame looked at his mother and his eyes were full of tears, but they were happy tears. "This is my son," Amara said. "This is Kwame. He is quiet but he is strong. He is shy but he is brave. And he is the best person I know." After that, nobody said anything for a very long time. The family looked at each other but did not speak. Some of them looked ashamed. Some of them looked angry. But nobody laughed. The laughter had died completely. Later, as Amara and Kwame were leaving, some of the family members came to them. And Amma came and apologized. She said that she had been wrong about Kwame. Uncle Kofi shook Kwame's hand and told him that he was proud of him. Even Cousin Iasai came and hugged Amara. She said that she had realized that being successful meant different things to different people. But Amara did not really care about their apologies. What mattered was that Kwame finally understood. He understood that his quiet nature was not a weakness. He understood that helping others was the most important thing he could do. He understood that his mother believed in him and was proud of him. That night, in the taxi on the way home, Amara and Kwame sat together. Kwame held the envelope in his hands and looked at it like it was something magical. And in a way it was. It was the truth about who he really was. And the truth had set him free. The first day of school arrived on a Monday morning in September. Amara woke up early and made breakfast for Kwame. She had saved money for months to buy his school uniform. It was a beautiful uniform, a white shirt, navy blue trousers, a navy blue blazer, and a tie with the school colors on it. When Kwame put on the uniform for the first time, he looked grown up. He looked like he belonged to something important. Amara helped her son fix his tie. She stood back and looked at him. Her eyes were full of tears, but they were happy tears. "You look wonderful, my son," she said. "I am so proud of you." Kwame smiled. He was nervous about starting at the new school, but he was also excited. He had heard that Achimota School was one of the best schools in Ghana. There were many smart students there. There were good teachers. There were many opportunities to learn and grow. That morning, Amara walked with Kwame to the taxi stand. She watched as he got into the taxi with other students who were also going to the school. She watched as the taxi drove away down the street. And she stood there for a long time, watching even after the taxi had disappeared from view. At school, Kwame was nervous at first. There were so many new students. There were so many new teachers. The classes were different from what he was used to. But slowly he began to feel more comfortable. His teachers were kind. His classmates were friendly. And most importantly, Kwame brought with him something that many of the other students did not have. He brought with him a sense of purpose. He knew why he was there. He was there not just to learn for himself, but to make himself better so that he could help others. On the first Friday after school started, Kwame went back to the community center as usual. He was still wearing his school uniform because he had come straight from school. When the younger children saw him in his uniform, their eyes grew wide. "Kwame, you look so smart," said little Otto, the boy who had been one of Kwame's first students. "Are you a teacher now?" Kwame laughed. "No, Otto. I am a student like you. But I am a student at a big school now. And I am still going to come here and teach you and the other children. I am going to be a teacher for you every Friday, just like always." The children were very happy to see Kwame. They had missed him during the week. And Kwame had missed them too. Even though he was now studying at one of the best schools in Ghana, he did not forget about the children at the community center. He did not forget about his responsibility to them. Every Friday afternoon after his classes were finished, Kwame would put on simple clothes and go to the community center. He would spend 2 or 3 hours teaching the children. He would help them with their reading. He would help them with their writing. He would help them with their numbers. And most importantly, he would show them that they could do anything if they tried hard enough. Mr. Mensah, the director of the community center, was amazed by Kwame's dedication. Even though Kwame was now at a prestigious school, even though he could have stopped coming to the center, he did not. He continued to come every single week. "Kwame," Mr. Mensah said to him one Friday afternoon, "you are a remarkable young man. Most students at your school would think that they are too important to come back here and help. But you have not forgotten where you came from. You have not forgotten the children who need your help." Kwame smiled. "This place is important to me, Mr. Mensah. These children are important to me. Teaching them makes me happy. And I want to be a teacher one day. So this is good practice for me." Amara would often come to the community center on Friday afternoons and watch her son work. She would sit in the back of the room quietly watching. She would see how patient her son was with the children. She would see how he explained things in ways that were easy to understand. She would see how the children loved him and trusted him. One Friday, Amara brought Mrs. Abina with her to the community center. The old woman sat next to Amara and watched Kwame teach. "Look at him," Mrs. Abina said to Amara. "Look at how confident he is now. Look at how the children respect him. When he first came to help me, he was so shy. He was so quiet. But he had something inside him. He had this light. And now that light is shining for everyone to see." Amara nodded. She was thinking the same thing. Her son had changed, but not in the way that her family had wanted him to change. He had not become loud and boastful like his cousins. He had not started bragging about his good grades or his prestigious school. Instead, he had become even more committed to helping others. He had become even more dedicated to his purpose. As the months passed, Kwame did very well in his studies at Achimota School. He got good marks in all his subjects. But more importantly, he became known among his classmates as someone who was kind and helpful. When other students needed help with their studies, Kwame would help them. When there were problems in the school, Kwame would try to find solutions. He was becoming a leader, but not the kind of leader who wanted attention. He was becoming the kind of leader who wanted to help others. One day, the principal of the school called Kwame to his office. Kwame was nervous. He did not know what he had done wrong. But when he arrived at the office, the principal was smiling. "Kwame, I have been hearing wonderful things about you from your teachers," the principal said. "They tell me that you are not just a good student. You're also a good person. You help your classmates. You are kind to everyone. And I have also heard that every Friday, you go to a community center and teach younger children. Is this true?" "Yes, sir," Kwame said. "I help teach children who cannot afford to go to school." The principal nodded. "This is very admirable, Kwame. This is the kind of student I want at this school. A student who is not just smart in his head, but also smart in his heart. A student who thinks about others. A student who wants to make the world better." The principal called Kwame's mother and invited her to the school. When Amara came to the school, she felt small again, just like she had felt at the family dinner. But this time she felt small in a good way. She felt proud and humble at the same time. The principal told Amara that her son was an excellent student and an excellent person. He told her that Kwame was a role model for the other students. He told her that Kwame was exactly the kind of young person that Ghana needed. Amara cried happy tears. She held her son's hand and thanked the principal. As time passed, Kwame continued to grow and change. He continued to study hard at school. He continued to teach at the community center every Friday. He continued to help Mrs. Abina with her soap business on weekends. His life was full and meaningful. Sometimes Kwame would think back to that dinner 3 months before he started at the school. He would remember his cousin's cruel words. He would remember how small he had felt. But he would not feel sad about it anymore. He had learned something important. He had learned that what other people think about you does not matter. What matters is what you think about yourself. What matters is knowing your own value. And Kwame knew his value now. He knew that he was not a quiet boy who was not good enough. He was a young man with a purpose. He was a young man who was helping to change his community. He was a young man who was showing that success was not about being the loudest or the richest or the most boastful. Success was about being kind. Success was about helping others. Success was about having character. One evening, Amara and Kwame sat together on their small veranda, just like they had done so many times before. The sun was setting over the city of Accra, and the sky was turning orange and pink. "Mama," Kwame said, "do you remember the dinner at Uncle Kofi's house?" "Yes, my son," Amara said. "I remember it." "I am glad that happened," Kwame said. "If that had not happened, you would not have collected all those documents. And if you had not done that, I would not know how proud you are of me. And I would not have gotten the scholarship to Achimota School. And all of these wonderful things would not have happened." Amara pulled her son close to her. "Sometimes, my son, the worst moments in our lives can become the beginning of the best moments. Your family's cruelty became the reason for your recognition. Your pain became the reason for your strength. But I also learned something else," Kwame said. "I learned that their opinion does not matter. What matters is that I know who I am. I know that I am someone who helps people. I am someone who cares about others. I am someone who wants to make the world a little bit better. And that is enough for me. That is more than enough." Amara smiled. Her son had become wise beyond his years. He had learned the most important lesson that anyone could learn. He had learned that true worth comes not from what others think of you, but from what you do with your life and how you treat other people. The dinner mockery had become a distant memory now. It did not hurt anymore. It had been replaced by so many good memories. Memories of children learning to read because of Kwame's patience. Memories of Mrs. Abina smiling as she sold her soap. Memories of teachers at school telling Amara how wonderful her son was. Memories of her son growing stronger and more confident with each passing day. Amara looked at her son sitting beside her on the veranda. She looked at his peaceful face. She looked at his kind eyes. And she knew that she had done the right thing. She had stood up for her son. She had shown her family the truth. And in doing so, she had helped her son understand his own value. The envelope had changed everything. But more than the envelope, it was Amara's love and belief in her son that had changed everything. And now, Kwame was using his own life to show others what true success really meant. He was showing them, through his quiet dedication and his kind actions, that the world needs more people like him. The world needs more people who are quiet but strong. The world needs more people who think about others before they think about themselves. The world needs more people who understand that service to others is the greatest honor of all.